Hello viewers of SSBC and those who are watching this exclusive interview of the Roundtable Show. Today we are very happy to be joined by the Minister of Energy and Dams, that is Dr. Dew Mathok. And here we'll be looking on the issues to do with electricity, despite of the fact that this source of energy is very vital in our nation, but seems to be neglected. And we'll be looking on some of the challenges Minister is facing and what is he doing to ensure that all these challenges are brought to an end. Minister, welcome to the
Thank you.
Show.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
Let's get to here. Minister, how does it feel to serve in the ministry or in the transitional government of national unity?
First of all, let me thank the SSBC and viewers of this great television. And I'm honored actually today to be hosted in this vital program. And which means actually I'm going to shed a light on some of issues facing the energy sector.
Yes.
The energy sector is one, as you said in the beginning, is one of neglected sector. And it's not actually in South Sudan alone. I believe that in the third world, whenever there is a budget shortage or cut, you see that the governments resort to energy, despite the fact that it's the mother of the service. You know, if you talk about the social service, that is health, that is education, that is even agriculture, you cannot do them without electricity. And this is where the importance of this sector comes from. You cannot fight the poverty without having a reliable source of power. You cannot have a decent life without having electricity. So this is the importance of electricity. I'm really happy that I have seen the political will since I came to this ministry. It is true that there are a lot of difficulties which used to face my colleagues who serve in that ministry. But I'm seeing now there is a political will from the leadership. The entire government of transitional national unity have seen the importance of electricity. The president and the first vice president and the vice president are supporting Ministry of Energy and Dam to see into it that all these challenges which are facing us now are being addressed.
Dr. Dew, before I could take you to the challenges you're facing, of course you mentioned how vital this ministry is. Let's get to know, after you've been appointed and you come into this ministry, what were your priorities? How do you want this ministry to look like?
You know, we are the least country which is providing this service to its people. We are just providing 1% to our population, you know. In the region, say Uganda, the provision of electricity in Uganda now is 23, is 57 in Kenya, and expected up to 2017 to be 100. And the sector is moving. If you talk of global IT revolution, you can see it clearly in the electricity sector. The nation moved very fast. Now people are talking about renewable energy. We are left behind. We want to catch up, which is important. We are not a poor country, actually. We are facing some of difficulties, which I believe that we are going to overcome them. In our plan now, we are trying very much to move this number, which is 1%, at least up to 2018. We should have talked of 30%, and there are projects actually which now we identified in order to move this percentage. One of them, we are constructing 100 megawatt in Juba. This is a good news for Juba residents. I hope that it will be realized very soon. We are also fighting very hard to extend the network, which is actually coming from Sudan and is now in Rang. We want to extend it to Malakal. At both sides of the river, whether at the west or in the east, such that all villages around the Nile River are covered. We are also working now to see into it that we import electricity from Uganda, Karumba, about 400 megawatt. And I believe that is not going to be materialized until 2018. There is also a plan to import electricity from Ethiopia. Both projects are at the level of feasibility study. African Development Bank is helping us on this. So these projects, if they are realized until 2018, I believe that we can move this figure from 1 somewhere to 30 or 40 even, which will be comfortable actually.
Doctor, the Juba Teaching Hospital is one of the institutions which is operating 24 hours. And your ministry is supposed to provide that institution with electricity, despite of the fact that leave other parts of the town. But the hospital itself, because it is running, there are so many things happening, operations, so on and so forth. What are you doing? Are we going to wait till 2018? Or what is going to happen?
No, actually in Juba, you know, Juba is the capital of our nation. We took it as a challenge upon us. The fact that we don't have electricity in this city is really bad for the image of this country. And leave alone the idea of hospital that we are talking about it, you know. The airport is supposed to be operated during the night. Now it's ready, but because of power, is not operated. The institutions like University of Juba, they need power. The resident of the president should be supplied with the power. The assembly, all those institutions, we believe that they should have sustainable power. Now, to address this issue, we have 2 important projects which are now going on. One is the rehabilitation and extension of Juba network. You know, we have got a grant from African Development Bank to the tune of 33 million to replace the existing network with the efficient one. They are going to change the poles, the wooden poles which are there now. They are going to be changed to the concrete. We are going to change also the wiring, the network. We are going to change the transformers. We are going to expand to the areas which actually the current power is not reached until now. So this is one project, and the company is a Chinese company called China Power. Is now in the field. They are working. Maybe people are not seeing them because they are still doing a certain groundwork. But for some weeks to come, people will see them upholding the wooden pole and replace them. So there is now a work going on in this. This is one project. Another project is generation. You know, you cannot update the network and then leave it without generation, because the idea of upgrading the network and expanding it in order to have the power. Yes. This issue is now being addressed by the government of the Republic of South Sudan. We contracted a company. We relinquished the station to a company, a business company, in order to generate 100 megawatt. This one, it is actually 112 megawatt. This 112 megawatt is going to be insulated into almost 5 phases. Whenever we feel that there is a shortage in power supply, we bring in 20 megawatt and then forecast the demand, and then again we bring it another 20, like that until we covered this 120 megawatt. The work also, we are now doing the paperwork. The company they are around, they are doing negotiation with the Minister of Finance. in order to set right some of the legal basis for the investment. And when they finish, automatically we will embark. The period of having this 12 megawatt in beginning is almost 3 months. That means after we finish, then automatically after 3 months, we assume that the hospital, the University of Juba, the Assembly, the House of President, and the entire Juba market will be having power.
Honorable Minister, before we could go for break, let's get to here. Of course, South Sudan is now having so many challenges. Let's talk about, let's get to hear your views about the economic situation. Despite of the fact that the government is trying to do its best to address these challenges, what do you think can be any other alternative to, to address these challenges?
As I said from the very beginning, we are not a poor country, we are a very rich country, and everybody knows this. We just need to set our house properly, to have a peace and security in our country. And this is being now addressed by the Transitional Government of National Unity. The peace means that we are going actually to raise the capacity of production of the oil field. We are going to create facilities like refineries, so that we refine the fuel internally and take it to the market, instead of us going and bringing the fuel with the very high cost of the currency. We can have it locally. The security means that the local people, they will produce, even if the production is not to the level of the market, of the commercial stage, but the idea of having a food for yourself in your house and the neighbor, I think that one is a major achievement in terms of economy. What is now destroying our currency is that we are importing, everything from outside, including those items which are supposed to be produced internally. Our people, I believe, that they are not lazy, but there are reasons, logical reasons, which make them not to produce. We need to address them. The government is keen to address these issues, so that we have stability, we have a stable country for the production. And by then, our economy automatically, it will change. Now also I'm seeing my colleague in the Ministry of Mining is now working very hard to see into it that the mining is also entered into economy. This is really very important. I believe that the oil is really very minor, has a minor ratio in our economy. The bigger part is with the mining actually, and we are not using it. Now there are programs in that ministry in order to produce mining and then get it to the market. We want also the Ministry of Agriculture. This is important ministry, which at least if the existing projects are not rehabilitated and bring back to the production, it should facilitate the small farmers so that they could produce for the local consumption. It will reduce the importation of the food from outside. So I'm seeing all these things are coming up. And with peace and stability, automatically, we will get ourselves in a better position.
Okay. Viewers of SSBC and those who are watching this program Roundtable Show, let's go for a short break and we'll be coming back. Please stay tuned.
The Roundtable Show is a platform where we discuss topical issues that affect the nation. We tackle many issues including economics, politics, peace and reconciliation, development, humanitarian support, education, among others.
Join me every Thursday from 8:30 p.m. And if you miss the Thursday edition, the repeat will be on Saturday from 12:30 p.m. Please don't miss the Round Table Show, the voice for the voiceless. Welcome back from that short break. You're still watching this exclusive interview of the Round Table Show. Our guest is still Dr. Diumato, who is telling us about the importance of energy sector. Let's get to hear more about this. Honorable Minister, now let's talk about issue to do with peace implementation. You say for our people to be able to invest or engage in production, peace and stability is very vital. I understand government has signed peace, and now it is in the process of implementing that peace. On your own views, how do you see this implementation now going on?
Actually, the implementation is going on well. The government, the Council of Ministers of Government of Transition National Unity has updated the calendar of implementation of the peace agreement. And we are now following the sequence of the implementation of the peace agreement. There are a lot of reforms which actually I believe that it is now an individual responsibility of each ministry to pick them up. I have seen those in financial sector already, especially the Minister of Finance. They already pick up what belong to them, and I have seen it clearly being reflected in the budget. Is actually reflected very well. Myself, as somebody trusted with the responsibility of the energy sector, I have owned my responsibility in these reforms, which I should do them. I am now doing a study. I put together all the necessary reforms which are needed to be done there. One of them, to be particular about my ministry, one of them is that we are moving now from the government providing electricity to the public to private and partnership projects. That means it must be accompanied with the certain measures within the energy sector. One, the ministry need to be reformed in a way that to address the new challenge. Two, the South Sudan Electricity Corporation also need to be reformed. Three, we need to create an authority which actually regulatory to the electricity side, that it can be a middle point between the government and the private producer of the power.
Dr. Diu, let me cut you short. How does the international bodies view the implementation of peace agreement?
International community, they believe that we are doing well, but they are hedging us to double our report, which I believe that is a fair demand. We are capable of doing that. We are now moving. If you compare the situation before July 2016 with the situation now, you can see that there is a progress. There is, despite the fact that there are crime, but the rate of the crime, the rate of violations are minimum. They are not like those of before July 2016. International community is pressuring a lot, and we are telling them that we are moving. We are moving. We need support. We need everybody to be on board. We need also to discuss things in a state of threat, in a state of threat and sanctions and all these things. We should sit together and then move, because already there is a political will from the government to implement peace agreement.
Some former colleagues, both in the army under the leadership of former first vice president, are still calling for change in the transitional government of national unity. What's your take on that?
I believe that that is not the right approach to the issue. I believe that since we were fighting in the bush, The idea was not power, just for somebody to come and then get a power. We were fighting for the reforms. And the reforms, if they are implemented, even if you are not in the position, you are not a minister, you are not in the assembly, and they are implemented, then we can now be proud that what we were calling now is moving. Everybody should be happy that what we were fighting is now accepted and is moving. It is not a matter of positions. So I want also to use this forum to tell my comrades and my colleagues that the peace agreement is being implemented. There is a seriousness now, this time. There is a harmony in the leadership of the transitional government of national unity. There is a cooperation in order to see into it that peace is implemented. It is true, it may not meet our aspiration all, or it may not be implemented at all at the end of 2018, but we want to rally up to see into it that the bigger part of it is implemented, and finally we go for the election. So the war is not solution. We want us to come and sit and try to discuss whatever we want to be discussed.
You were the Secretary General of the SPLM in opposition.
Yeah.
Previously, the first Vice President, Tabandengai, was calling on the governors of the 28 states and other colleagues to support him, to help him in bringing or supporting the brothers who are coming to the cantonment sites. What is the update about this? Do you see progress being made in that area? Some of colleagues are coming to report in the sites.
You know, one of problems facing the cantonment site now is funding. You know, the exercise is very expensive. In the last meeting of GMEC, the GMCC, that is Joint Military Ceasefire Commission, submitted a report and the budget. And we realized that the one cantonment sites with at least 2,000 soldiers, men, need around $700,000 US. If you have said you have 10 cantonment sites, if you have 10 cantonment sites, you can talk of $7 million US in a month. This is a huge amount, which we believe that the government of South Sudan, in this economic situation, cannot afford it. We need international community to help us. This is our fees leverages, and they should come in to encourage these people to come to the cantonment site. You cannot send somebody to cantonment site while there is no food, while there is no shelter, while there is no water, while there is no even protection.
Yes.
You know, we need those areas to be secure so that when people are there, then what is planned to be done is actually accomplished.
What message would you send to people of South Sudan outside there, in different areas, being within South Sudan, being in diaspora, so on? What message as we are concluding?
I want to tell them that two messages. One, let us support peace. War is destruction. We have tried it during those days with Sudan. And last 2 years we were fighting ourselves, killing ourselves. There is nothing out of it except poverty, except hunger, displacement, and all these bad things. We need to stop it. We need to come together. If there are issues that we want to discuss, let us discuss them in a very peaceful manner, and finally we will address them. This one. Two, I want people of South Sudan to support the energy sector. This is really very important. We are now working on a policy, rural electrification policy. Is now in the cabinet. I hope it's going to be presented to the cabinet, and then from there it will go to the assembly. This policy is how we should extend the services to our people in the rural areas. South Sudan rural areas is occupied by 83%. It is just only 17% is in town. So we want to reach them out, and we cannot reach them out without a clear policy. The ministry now managed to formulate a policy. Is going to be presented into the cabinet, and is going to be a law, and we are reaching them out. We are reaching them out. So let us not think that the Ministry of Electricity and them is just only concerned about Juba. we are moving out. I said about Malakal. There is also a project for WOW, the same measures which we are now doing them in Juba. If we manage to succeed, automatically the next target is going to be WOW. We are going to replicate them in WOW and the other major town of South Sudan.
With that, viewers of SSBC, that has finally brought us to the end of this exclusive interview of the Roundtable Show. But remember, Honorable Minister just said the cost of war is very expensive. Let's embrace peace and unite our ranks and stay in our country as brothers and sisters. And secondly, to the transitional government of national unity and the investors, please support the Ministry of Energy and Dams because electricity is very vital. Honorable Minister, it's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony Goring. Thank you.